Hey, in the last video on dividing fractions by whole numbers, we looked at the how and the why of how this works, what actually happens when we divide fractions by whole numbers. In this video, we're going to have a look at a strategy or a method for actually finding the answer to calculations which involve fractions divided by whole numbers. So this isn't going to go through why or how it works, as in the understanding behind it, but actually the why and the how of how this method works. So let's have a look at some of the calculations that we had in our last video. So here we have got 1/4 divided by 2 equals 1/8. 2/5 divided by 2 equals 2/10, and 1/4 divided by 3 equals 1/12. 12. Yeah, let's go with that. So immediately looking at these calculations, it's always a good thing to have a look at this when you're doing your maths, is to spot any patterns or any patterns you can spot, or any relationships between different numbers in calculations. This can often help you in spotting your own strategies. Now in this case we can see that a relationship occurs between the denominator in each calculation, the divisor of the whole number, and the denominator in the answer. So if you have a look at those for a moment, you might spot it yourself. So 4, 2 and 8, 4, 2 and 10, 4, 3 and 12. So what's happening here? Well, in this strategy you can see what is actually happening here is that if we multiply the denominator of the original fraction by the divisor of the whole number, in this case 2, it will give us the new denominator. So 4 multiplied by 2 gives us 8. Let's see if that works for the other calculation. So we've got our original denominator of 5 multiplied by 2 gives us 10. 5 times 2 is 10. So we would do 4 multiplied by 3, and that should give us 12, which it does. 4 times 3 is 12. So that's one of the strategies. So as one of our steps in the strategy for doing that, you multiply, I'm going to call the original denominator OD by whole number. Okay, so we'll call the original denominator OD so you don't have to watch me write that out, and then multiply by the original whole number, which in this case is our divisor. Okay, then we need to consider the numerators, and as you can probably spot the pattern, it's fairly obvious. You can see that actually in each calculation the numerators are not changing from the original numerator to the answer. So in our first one the numerator was 1 and the numerator is 1 in our answer. In the second one the numerator is 2 and the numerator is 2 in our second one. And for the third one, numerator is 1, and even though we're dividing by 3 here, the numerator is still 1. It seems a bit funny that, but actually if you go back into the last video you'll be able to see why that's happening. So we multiply the original denominator by the whole number, the divisor, and keep the numerator the same. Okay, fairly straightforward steps for dividing fractions by whole numbers. So if you have a look at the next slide, I've got some examples here that we can have a go at. If you want to pause the video now and have a go at these yourself, do that, and then I'll go through how we would use this strategy to find these answers. So if I just get our steps here, let's see if it's going to copy for me because it's being a bit funny. Oh yes, okay. So maybe if you want to pause the video here and have a go yourself, see if you're right. Okay, so if we consider our first one here, we've got 1/6 divided by 2. So let's multiply the original denominator by the whole number divisor. So 6 times 2 should give us our new denominator, which, so 6 times 2 is 12, our new denominator is 12, and then we go to the second step, keep the numerator the same, so we keep the numerator the same there, so it's 1/12. 1/6 divided by 2 is 1/12. So if we go at the second one, following our steps again, multiply the original denominator by the whole number, the divisor, so 3 times 3 is 9, and that gives us our new denominator. Then our second step, we keep the numerator the same, I think I just got a bit mixed up there, which is 1. So we have 1/3 divided by 3 is 1/9. And finally, it still works if you have a look in the last video, it still works if our denominator, our divisors are different. So if we go for our steps again, so we multiply the original denominator by the whole number, which is 3, so 7 times 3 is 27, and then keep the numerator the same. Even though the numerator in this case is larger than 1, we do keep it the same, and if you're wondering why, have a look in the last video which goes through the visual representations of it. And that's how we can use a strategy for dividing a fraction by a whole number. We can follow those 2 steps. Now there's probably people that may be watching this that was talking about the other methods where you're dividing fractions and you flip the second one around. We're not going to go into that just yet. And that is how we can divide a fraction by a whole number, both the strategy for doing it quickly and the understanding behind it. Thanks for watching, have fun practicing.